Will you please welcome Paul Bellini. Clap for Bellini.
So Sky said Liars Club. I thought I better write some bullshit. So there's a story about a trip I made to New York about 10 years ago. For the life of me, I don't understand why some artists do what they do, why they live the way they live. Case in point, I went to New York about 10 years ago to visit my dear friend Shelley Mars. Shelley's a performance artist, which is a curious mix of actor, whore, comedian, and hippie. She was famous in the 90s for playing this lecherous old dude named Martin, who hung out at all these old strip clubs. And after she did the Martin monologue, she'd do a striptease and become the stripper that he was checking out. You can see the whole thing in a movie called Virgin Machine. Anyway, Shell lives in Chelsea in a nice apartment she's had since she moved to New York from the Midwest in the mid-'80s, but nothing about her is mid. She's a woman given to extremes. We always have a blast, and this trip was no exception. As soon as I arrived, she told me I had to go buy some pot. Now, it was December at the time, and I was in town for Christmas and New Year's stuff, and I was staying at her place. So I dropped my suitcase off, and the two of us headed out to her dealer's place. He lived in Alphabet City, which is about a 45-minute trip to the other side of town, but Shelley had recently acquired two small, ridiculous bicycles, the types that a clown would use. She handed one of them to me and told me that we were going to jet across Manhattan in our quest to catch the dealer before he went out. We dragged the bikes down the stairs leading to the lobby of her building, then mounted them, began pedaling. At first it was exhilarating driving a bike through the crazy, chaotic Manhattan drive-home traffic. We were weaving in and out of traffic jams with aplomb. And I should mention, she drives like a fucking maniac. So I was struggling to keep up with her. Then a Christmas miracle. It started snowing, like hard, big, fluffy snowflakes, like in a movie. The snow blinded me. At one point, I lost Shelley entirely and I panicked, but she was waiting for me at the next intersection. I was out of breath by the time we parked in front of some horrible old abandoned building. We locked the bikes up to a stop sign and went in. "It's a walk-up," she told me. "Are you okay with that?" Well, technically, no. At the time, I was quite fat and winded by everything, especially that bike ride. But what choice did I have? So before answering, Shelley was already bounding up the staircase towards the top floor of an 8-floor building. I dragged my ass. She kept yelling at me to hurry up. Finally, she knocked on the door of the loft, and this totally hot, amazing guy, wearing ripped jeans and a muscle top, slid open the door. He was so vivid, I could count his armpit hairs. "Yo," he said, stepping aside to let us in. "Jeremy, this is my friend Paul," she told him. "He's from Toronto." "General idea," said Jeremy, referencing the renowned artist collective from the 70s. "Yes," I said between gasps. Jeremy led us into his studio. He was working on a massive sculpture of a little girl eating a giant spider. Plaster was everywhere. "Is this a new piece?" asked Shelley, circling it. "It's fucking awesome. You're so talented," she said. And Jeremy seemed to blush. Oh, he was so cute, I felt ill. I noticed a nude photograph of him framed and mounted on the wall above the futon on the floor. Did I mention he was also really hung? I was definitely falling in love with every passing second. "Dude, you look like you need a glass of water," he said to me. And he went over to his sink where he dipped a chipped cup into a basin of water and handed it to me. "Sorry, we don't have running water," he said. I was grossed out, but the adorable twinkle in his eye made me grab that dirty cup and take a huge gulp, ignoring whatever was floating in there. He gave me a sweet grin. "We need pot," yelled Shelley. "What do you got?" "Just this stuff," he said, holding out a big bag. She grabbed it and took a whiff. "Yeah, Jamaican," she declared. "Can I get half an ounce?" Then turning to me, she said, "Bellini, you got any cash?" "How much do you need?" I asked. $60, she said. I took out the money and handed it to her in US currency, and she in turn handed it to Jeremy. "Let's smoke," he said, pulling out a pre-rolled joint from under some shit under the table. He and Shelley clustered around the open window as they lit it. I took a puff, then choked some more. They laughed at me. Good weed always makes you cough, he said to me. With a face like his, he could have been saying anything, really. I just wanted to watch his lips move. Then suddenly, I realized that I really had to use the bathroom. I mean, all those hours of traveling, I'd held it all in. But now I really needed to use the potty. Can I use your bathroom, I asked. Jeremy pointed me in the direction down the hallway, although all I could do was look at that bare arm. I headed in the direction it pointed to and down the end of the hallway, and I found a doorway. I opened it and went inside, and at first I thought maybe this is the wrong room, but it was the only room. So there was no toilet in this bathroom. Instead, there was a litter box. A giant litter box filled with cat litter. Next to it was a scoop and a sealed basin. I was baffled. Did gorgeous Jeremy shit in a litter box? Again, I looked around to see if maybe the toilet was hidden somewhere, but no, and I had no choice. I was crowning. So I removed my pants and I squatted over that pile of gravel and enjoyed a much-needed evacuation. And when it was done, I reassembled my clothing and delicately scooped my own turd and placed it inside the sealed box, which luckily was empty. I hoped I'd done the right thing, but who the fuck knows? I went back to the studio area where Jeremy and Shelley were finishing the joint and having a laugh. Then Shelley stood up and said, "We gotta go, ready?" I nodded my head. We said goodbye. This was worth the trip because he actually embraced me and I got really close to all that. And then Shelley and I began our long walk down the stairs, and when we got outside, both bikes had been stolen. No big deal, she said. After all, I stole them from someone. Now they have a new owner. We walked back to her place in the snowfall. Now it was less magical and a little slushier, but who cares? We had a half ounce of weed. I wish I could tell you the rest of my New York trip was as magical or as bizarre as that incident, but it wasn't. Nothing could ever top having a shit in a litter box. Meow.